It starts out innocently enough. One day you learn what average draft position is as you're in a draft with your friends, and you think, wow, I'm going to be so good at fantasy sports. And you get your butt kicked, and you just think, no, I'm going to come back. I'm going to work, and I'm going to be harder. I'm going to be better, and I'm going to be faster, and I'm going to be stronger. And so you start doing research, and all of a sudden one day you're looking at week 17 correlation, and you're trying to find a good stack and a good bring back with that stack, and you realize you may have lost control of your life, but you think, no, I'm fine. I'm good. But the itch, it doesn't stop. And so all of a sudden you're not in one league, you're drafting dozens and dozens of teams over the summer in best ball drafts, and you think, have I really lost control of my life? And you look in the mirror, and you should be thinking about, maybe I should start seeing a therapist, maybe I should start figuring out some things in my life. But no, you're thinking about week 17 correlation, because week 17 correlation is so hot right now. But the problem is, week 17 correlation is great, but it only works if you get there. You see, it doesn't tell the whole story, because how do you get there? The data shows that those in finals have an increased chance of winning it all if you have correlation, if you have bringbacks, and that's all great, but you have to make it to the dance, and you might not, because baby, I want to make it to that dance. And so today I'm going to posit my thesis that reasons why. Oh, sorry, this is the wrong Google Slides. My thesis today is that week 15, 16 correlators, they matter just as much. You see, week 15, if you make it to week 15, you're going to be against 13 other people, and you're going to have a 7.7% chance of making it. And week 16, even worse, you're going to have a 1 in 16 chance, a 6% chance of making it. And sure, if you make it to the finals, you have a 1 in 539 chance of winning it all this year. And that's where your week 17 correlation is going to be awesome. And so you're optimizing for week 17 with that 1 in 539 chance, which is good. I'm not saying don't do that. However, you're not going to have a very good chance of making it that far if your team is suboptimal for those previous weeks. And the thing you should also think about is, what is that? Sorry, what? But wait, there's more. The payments are different this year. Now, normally in Best Ball Mania, if that's what you're doing, the payments used to have a very large scale where first won a huge disproportionate part of the winnings. But this year is different. If you look at the tournament prize breakdown, you can see that just making it back would make back all your entries if you were to max out in Best Ball Mania 5. It makes a lot of sense to just really try to make it to finals. And hopefully there you have a chance. The fact of the matter is, last year in week 16, you had teams that didn't have Amari Cooper, who broke fantasy football that week, in their pods and made it to finals. It didn't matter having the best person that week because they didn't make it that week. The winner last year didn't have the highest scoring wide receiver, but it didn't matter because of the rest of the team. And we can see from data shown by other people that it's important to have a lot of what they say live players at the end. So when we're thinking about stacks and correlations, I think you need to think about more, which is why I've come up with a tool that can hopefully help you. It's a week 15, 17 correlation tool, and I'm going to show you how it works. And so the idea behind this is, how do we correlate good offenses? And typically in fantasy sports, fantasy football especially, you want good offenses. A disproportionate amount of high picks last year, or good positional values, came from, as you can imagine, good offenses. All right, so the spreadsheet, which I've linked in the chat, feel free to use and feel free to make a copy and change it to make it your own. But I took from Bleacher Report, I took the top ranked teams, and so I put their numbers, and this is based off of offenses. So a lot of people for week 17, what they're trying to do, which makes a lot of sense, is they're trying to correlate, right? They're trying to get the best bang for their buck in this week. However, I think a better strategy is potentially thinking about whatever teams you're focusing on, thinking about across their entire playoff schedule so that you increase your chances of even making it there. And so what I did is looked at what would be good teams to target under this idea. And so I looked at all the teams, I put their schedules together, and I averaged their rankings, including themselves, because they are an offense upon themselves. And you can see here some of the better teams to maybe target. So San Francisco, they're going to be facing the Rams, Dolphins, and Lions, all potentially very high scoring games. And you can also think about with some of these rankings, they're not perfect, right? You may have different opinions on than Bleacher does. So if you think like me that the Rams may be better than 11th, then that even improves the argument here, right? You have the Texans who have a really favorable schedule. You see these teams that have really good schedules, and you a team that maybe to target if you that has low kind of ADP for a lot of players might be the Steelers, right? Because they have a really favorable playoff schedule. Again, this isn't totally predictive because we don't know what teams are going to be good necessarily in terms of offenses. But I think, going into last year, if you told me that these were going to be the top offenses going into this year, I don't think it'd be too different. So I think there is some, we can have some confidence that some offenses will be good, barring injury. But it also can maybe tell you some teams to avoid. So, for example, we're all excited, understandably so, about Anthony Richardson, but his playoff schedule is terrible in terms of teams, right? All these 3 teams could be totally out of the mix, sitting starters, starting people for the first time. And the Colts could just be absolutely trouncing them, and it might not be a competitive game. Who knows? And so you might just want to pay attention to those things. And so using this tool, I was able also to realize there are some overlaps with teams in like different playoff combinations. So for example, you have the Dolphins who play the Texans, the 49ers, and the Browns, right? And then if you have the Browns, they also play the Chiefs and the Bengals. So maybe you can find good kind of correlation over there if you're doing like a Browns focused team or something like that. So it could offer you different strategies. Draft however you do. If you want to be a data bro, go for it. If you want to draft from the heart, also go from it, because the whole point is to make fantasy your fantasy, whatever that looks like. For me, it just looks like a lot of all you can eat Korean barbecue. What was I talking about again? Yeah, correlation. So if this tool could be helpful, let me know. Or if there's things you want me to add, I could think about maybe adding defenses being helpful, because this only tells part of the story. But you can see some of these teams that just have really good playoff matchups and combinations of matchups. And at the very least, if you are drafting and have this tool out, you can easily see all the schedules and whether or not they might be a good game. For example, that 49ers Lions game at the end of the year. Oh, woof. I want a piece of that. Have a great day.